very important to know about the SOC because all of us have a sense commitment with deities at least twice a month, and how to go about it without feeling overwhelmed or without feeling obligation or even commitment. So this is a very special occasion, two special days, Kini days. Everything became very special. Dakini became very active those times. Everything, whatever we do, become very special. Whole day, from night to next night, very special how we can utilize those period. Of course, every day is special, and we have to really utilize every moment onto the path. On the occasion of the talk, we can really accumulate great positive potential and purify the karmas. There are so many benefits. Among many zillions of benefits, I pick up the important one. For example, when you miss or you are traveling on the special day, you still can do around those days, especially twice a year. Very special Vajrayogini, Heruka, Mada Tantra, which include 5 Dakinis, special days to do Tsok. 11th month of the lunar calendar. So it's called Tsechu. Chu means 10th, and Tse means day. 10th day of the lunar calendar, before the waxing moon and the waning moon. Anyway, between those periods time, 10th, which means 10th of the lunar calendar and 25th of the lunar calendar. In Dakini's Whisper, we do once a month. So has a many meaning. One of the meaning is gathering of the Dakas and Dakinis. So we gather together and then practice this feast offering. Whenever we have an opportunity to gather like this is such a treat for each of us. And really feel the connection and acknowledging this spiritual opportunity our life presents, and also what brings us here today. Just connecting what's present. See if you can start feeling or even glimpsing into the, you can say, inner perfection, innate perfections, innate awakefulness, purity of who and what you are. Something won't be diluted or polluted by anything, like a crystal or a golden nugget. Maybe surface level might be smudged by all the dirt and covered up, but internally, ultimately, it's pure. That is your inner perfection, purity that we're gonna connect through Tsok practice and celebrate. Not only yourself, but everything like that. Every being like that. Every appearance, no matter how it appeared. Everything is sacred and divine. Something to really celebrate. And recently I was responding to the questions students raised about this opportunity we have in terms of tantric teaching, tantric practice. We have met tantric lineage, and this won't last. Just tiny window we kind of caught for the catch a wave. Is that the one? Like just a tiny period, window or room we got where we met this precious tantric teaching, which allowed us to really celebrate this perfection, innate perfection of who and what we already are. See if we can also cultivate this awe and wonder and appreciate, and then take responsibility for making use of or utilize this opportunity to deliver all suffering beings from the ocean of suffering and lead them to the land of joy and happiness, where we don't hear any even word of suffering, wars, turmoils, struggles. See if you can be the one who will take all beings to that land of happiness and joy. For that purpose, today I will practice, I will study, I will discuss, share in this opportunity I have here today, together with my fellow travelers. I'm gonna say a few words about the levels of the talk practice. There are many ways to do, in a sense. We want to know because we always cannot do the entire full version of it. If we know the essence of Tsok, what Tsok entails, then we can choose the levels of the Tsok practice from the most elaborated one, the medium size, then shortest one, even shortest of the shortest. But even then we can accomplish if we have a complete big offering and 3-4 hours of talk practice, but mind is distracted during those 3-4 hours and just kind of chit-chatting, and then it's not effective. But even short, concise, concentrated, short period, maybe we can get it done in 15 minutes. But if we every moment, if we put ourselves, our heart into it, then we can accumulate way more than 3-4 hours of distracted mind talk. So it's nice to know about this. And also another student recently emailed us and she felt overwhelmed. So I'm not sure I can do twice a month talk. It's too much, feeling overwhelmed and also doubt about this part. Do you have that experience? Tantric practice? I have. I never doubt about this path, but the early stage of my journey felt, wow, this is a lot. The question is, we can take that, wow, this is a lot, as a burden or blessing. That's the difference. Yeah. My response was that, that's common, especially in the West, common to feel that overwhelmed about this kind of ritual thing, or talk, or commitment, or those things feels like obligation. I have to make everything perfect, something. You guys are so perfectionist. Not like me, I'm kind of sloppy. Yeah, there are many ways to do it. So that's the thing. It's so important to know the essence. Then accordingly we can do. Let's start from the most elaborated one. Actually, not the most elaborated, because we are not really doing online. That's already, it's something not so elaborate. We cannot, there's a limitations, right? But we do Chotso Vajra Yogini Chok feast practice. If we do this one from beginning to end, so this one considered to be the elaborated one, I would say. So even them, we don't have time, right, online. So even them, we have to skip certain part, like Torma offering, certain praise to certain Dharma protectors, and also that sort of thing in our tradition. Yeah, with lineage. Because Tsok is such a special occasion. Twice a month, I can get to see face to face my teacher, Rinpoche, comes out. He never missed it. And he always comes at that Nakini day. Then we do together. So there's no limit, like start from this hours and they have to finish this. Usually start in the evening because as you know, this is the Dakini's time. Dakini become very active at night. So usually start at the evening and then whatever takes. But online community like this, that's not the case. So we have to limit the time. So we skip certain things. But I would consider this is the most elaborate. The most detailed one is the one, those people who finish the complete close retreat. like for example, hundreds to thousands mantra of the specific Idan, Vajra Yogini or Heruka, then we do so-called self-initiation or self-entry or self-empowerment. So that is called Shindura Mandala practice. That's another text, but basically based on the more elaborated offering. So that's the, I would say, most elaborated talk is based on the self-initiation text in terms of Idan practice. Then second level, I would say medium. That's the one we do with this text. Vajra Yogini Choto. We have to finish the self-generation before Choto. That's, you know, right? For example, in the case of Vajra Yogini, you have to finish the at least short Vajra Yogini self-generation practice. In the case of 5 Dakinis, have to finish before doing the talk. So 5 Dakinis talk is very beautiful and concise. So that's why I would say concise version. So before talk, make sure you finish self-generation of Prajna Paramita and it's connecting to the 5 Dakini, then Torma offering, then the start the feast offering. So those of you who are doing the 5 Dakinis, if you like, you can use this text for a talk practice. But when we practice together, I really encourage you to join us because it's very difficult in a sense to learn yourself. At least you expose yourself to this practice, hear the melodies, and maybe hear my little explanation and so forth, so that then you get used to it, right? So that's the second medium length, you can say. Then the medium of medium is the 5 Dakinis. Then those of you who recently got this one, this has a Vajra Yogini talk, different from the Vajra Yogini Chotok. Okay, but so this one is shorter than this. But thing is that talk is a cho. This one is a unique, the combination of the really body offering. You know, ear whisper lineage here. What we are following is a cho. CHO umlaut, cho practice, right? Cho traditions. So we offer our body as a talk. This is the kind of combination of all these other practices. I would say the uniqueness of or gift of our lineage. This one, Vajra Yogini Choto. So, okay, then let's say I joined the group practice talk once a month, but then I call personal talk your own. Then you either forgot or busy or whatever reason is. Forgetting it may not be a good idea. Then, because that day is special. So, you know, throughout the day, you know, okay, I'm going to practice the sacred outlook on this day. At least on this day, this ordinary view sucks. On this kind of, I suck. Everybody sucks. Those kind of things just put aside. Okay, so I practice kind of feel partners show up and even say some BS kind of thing. Then look at that word is emptiness coming from the Heruka's mouth or something like that. Anyway, practice that. So then that's very good. If you cannot do those ritual things, no time. Almost 12 o'clock, midnight. Oops, I partied. I forgot about it. Then you can do that twice or 3 times or 4 times of the mantra counting as you usually do. You know, if you promise to do 100 times of the Vajra Yogini mantra or something like that, then do the next day 200, 300, 400, as many as possible. Of course, that's not the same at all, but at least you can avoid the downfall. There are lots of downfalls, tua in Tibetan, downfalls, falling into this. So you cannot accumulate the merit, but you can avoid the downfalls. Just about your awareness. And also, if possible, on that day, if you can give something sweet, chocolate or something, to the little girl, 1 or 3 or 5 or 7. 7 girls if it's better. But it's difficult to find those girls around, especially girls who are virgins, so young. Even just one. I'm just telling you about the traditions. Even you can find neighbors, girls, imagining her as an emanation of this Dakini. You don't need to tell her to boost up her ego. No, just in your mind. Just give this. About the exercising the pure view. Yeah, in terms of offering, it's good to offer quality and quantity. That's a tradition. Quantity means a big offering, and the quality is a good one, good qualities. Even those poor Tibetans, when it comes to sok, they put into it butter. They bring all this, buying the big block of the butter and offer. But they come to this sacred celebration of this holy beings. They come. So that sort of mental attitude, abundance, I want everybody to bring. It's difficult in the West because we haven't witnessed much those kind of things. But we can develop, we can cultivate, we can start to feel the generosity just automatically coming from inside. And also, we don't call these so-called samaya substances. So there are two things at least we need for sok, right? It's called bara and madana. We don't call meat and alcohol. The idea of the sok practice is to cut through the ordinary appearances and the ordinary conceptions. So meat and alcohol is the ordinary word and gives us some kind of ordinary concept. Meat, I don't like meat, I'm vegetarian. Alcohol, I'm kind of celibate or monk, I don't drink alcohol. So in Tantra, purposely, this is a ritual. It came from very ancient tradition coming from India. So bring those things to cut through our ordinary conception and ordinary idea about these substances. So we call bara and madana. Put in a nice special bowl or something, these two things, and put together in the altar. On the top of that, if you have a cookie, or I'm sure you are doing that, but something, put in some containers and put on the altars. And that's good. So that's kind of suffice for us when we practice together. So back old days in India, we offer everything, fresh one, piles of the offering, and show that kind of abundance. That's important. And if you have a bell and the dhamma, of course, as a tantric commitment, you can use those things. If you don't have, that's okay. If you have a sheet, right? There's a card which has the samaya commitment, so that one keep it and never separate it from the samaya implement, always together. Yeah, just keep it and don't show others. As you know, Tantra has some self-secrecy, and the more keep it secret and then become powerful. Then this one is called samaya implement, which it's good to keep yourself and not showing others. You remember I was talking about those three things, three convictions. Yeah, as long as we have those three, everything will unfold perfectly. You don't need to worry about it. What is the first conviction? Why you are here, right? What brings you here? Three conviction in tantric context we are talking about. Yeah, first one is this spontaneous inclination towards this tantric teaching. Can't help it. You feel that something in here, this tantra. As soon as you hear this word, I mean that's brought you here, no? I mean, you don't need to not all people get into tantra. Although without getting tantra, almost impossible to make this journey. Tantra is such a special thing. I was talking about it won't last. It's so special. We encounter the tantra this life. Really something. So anyway, so that's first conviction each of you have already passed, check, right? You have some inclination toward or trust or belief, confidence, conviction in this tantric journey, which you are already making. Then what's the second one? Second, trust, conviction. Who deliver? Who opened that door to show that journey, that tantric teaching, tantric journey, and the lineage, this river. So if you don't have that trust in that figure or the lineage or river, then you cannot make this journey. Always having questions. Something comes up, or I don't want to practice this one. I prefer this. I don't know. Yeah, lineage. I felt very important because in the West we say that I kind of choose this lineage practice. Of course, prioritize. We have to have prioritization. We have a very limited time. But in the Tibetan tradition, we have no doubt, no question about those things. Trust is very important, trust in lineage, and then person or figure who hold that lineage. Last, not least, the most important, and these two we can have. I would like to know.
Absolute confidence in my true nature and that liberation is attainable in this lifetime. Sort of confidence in that.
Yeah, capacity, in one's own capacity to make this journey, be able to make it. Yeah. So that part is important. But as we practice more, it develops. But that is completely different from ego-based confidence. I'm great, I'm this. Yeah, very different feeling. So if we know the essence of talk, that helps. What is the essence of talk? Essence of Tantra. What we are trying to get at. Okay, so what the essence of talk?
Realize the essence of our true Buddha nature.
Good. Yes, there are many ways.
And bodhicitta and helping others through that.
Yeah, there are many ways to say it. That's good. Yeah, the ultimate or innermost meaning or function of Dzogchen feast is to come to the deepest recognition of who and what we are, synonymous to Buddha nature or innate wakefulness, nature of reality, not only me as a person, no, self and everything, nature of reality, which is a union of great bliss and emptiness. Emptiness, synonymous to clear light. Then this recognition leads to the tantric awakening in this life with this body. Yeah, that's what we are talking about here. Okay, so then a few benefits I just said before we dive into this. So first I said the collection, tremendous accumulation of the positive potentials, so-called merit. Why do we need merit or positive potential on this journey? There are two kinds of, you can say, positive potential or collections. You can say collection, accumulation, sometimes translate. Twofold accumulation, two kinds. One is accumulation of so-called merit, and another one is accumulation of wisdom. That's how people translate. We don't actually accumulate wisdom, but just that way of saying there are two kinds: wisdom aspect, emptiness aspect, and also positive, more skillful means, positive potentials, merit. Why we need those two? That leads to tantric awakening, right? How that works. It's good to know these things because it really gives us a confidence in what we are doing. Not just like we are following somebody's theory or teaching, but then if we understand that in our heart, whatever we do, this is the one way to get to this tantric enlightenment. You can draw the dots. Okay, so the reason we need to accumulate or collect the positive potential or merit is that it leads to the emanation body, Buddha's body. So there are Buddha's body and three kayas. Emanation means the illusionary body, and coming out and help for the sake of others. Collection of positive potential leads to the Tulku emanation body, like a Buddha, like His Holiness Dalai Lama. He is a Tulku emanation body, bodhisattvas, helping for others. Okay, then the accumulation of wisdom of emptiness, that the wisdom part leads to the Buddha mind, Dharmakaya, emptiness, you can say, emptiness mind. So we need those to look, Nirmanakaya and Dharmakaya. Those two entail the tantric enlightenment. So when we say the tantric enlightenment, it's not just only the emptiness part. Emptiness means the like clear light and Dharmakaya. So when we meditate, like we kind of rest in that Dharmakaya state, but that's just one half of the equation. That's the accomplishment of the self-purpose. Because if we stay there forever, then we cannot serve anybody. Nobody can see you because it's formless and no capacity to help others. So then you have to arise as the illusionary body, Tulku, Nirmanakaya, to assist all beings. Dakinis are like that. Dakinis entail both aspects. Then top practice is the way to accumulate both aspects. So the skillful means of positive potential and reality of wisdom, accumulating the wisdom of emptiness. So for example, resting. Entire time we are supposed to be resting. Everything arises from this Dharmakaya state. Anyway, so that's the first merit of the talk, collecting the positive potential or merit and wisdom. Then second is the purifying. So now collecting, kind of cultivating, accumulating, as well as we need to unveil, right? Purifying. We are talking about this golden nugget, that's who you are, a pure diamond, but then all the smudges or the dirt is covering up. So we need to purify those things, as well as cultivate. So purifying negative karma and pacifying obstacles and renew tantric samaya commitment, you can say. This talk is a powerful practice to renew the damaged or broken samayas. That's why emphasis is talk. Even I don't know about you, but daily life, we are, really breaking the samaya, so to speak. Because if we lost this pure view, for example, it's one of the downfalls in Tantra. Tantra's enemy is this ordinary view. If we are viewing this ordinary, same old kind of view, which most of us have, then the kind of lost the essential meaning of this view, then that's one of the downfalls of tantric commitment. Forget that emptiness, for example. So then this talk practice is a powerful way to purify and renew the tantric samayas. Okay, so that's the second one. Then another merit or the benefit is relations to subtle body, Sok and subtle body. I talk about that in here because, for example, Sok substances we partake. So what we are doing is we are offering into the subtle body deities living in the subtle body. Deities, you can say dakinis and dakas and dakini in the body, and generate this special state, more than state, special conditions called spontaneous or ecstatic great bliss, inseparable from emptiness. In other words, this subtlest mind we want to unveil, which reside at the heart center. So anyway, so go deeper and deeper. Talk has a significant meaning. Then source of accomplishment, Siddhi. Source of accomplishment, that another meaning or another function. Also celebration and gratitude. So talk entails some kind of party, really joy, bringing this lots of joy and the spontaneous party kind of feeling in and what we are celebrating is this sacred view. Soku is a celebration of what has been accumulated. For example, in retreat, so that's why we do the end of the retreat. We want to do the talk, the end of personal retreat. So that's the moment of celebration. This Ratana qualities. So all these 5 Dakini energies, we bring it to the talk, celebration, and also Thanksgiving practice. Yeah, the more you do, more you enjoy, more joy, and more feels like understanding deeper. And so everything, practice and understanding and realization come together, go together. Soku is one of those things very special. As I said, everything which deal in Soku, whatever Soku deals, everything is special. It has a different layers of the meaning as well. So we don't need to understand everything. Especially the secret meaning of everything is something unveiled. Yeah, it's a self-secret. So at this point of our lives and our practice, our journey, it may not be clear, but that's the way it is. But then we practice, we trust those 3 things. I will emphasizing these days. If as long as we have those 3 things, you are making journey towards that goal.